Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's kind of chilly out this morning. It just can't make up its mind here lately with whether it's going to be warm or cold, which is that's just this time of the year. Another reminder, I think I said it yesterday, but this weather that they're talking about over the next few weeks, some different weather patterns could be significant for some of you. So again, just want to remind you to kind of keep an eye on the weather in your area, especially if you live more in the southeastern part of the United States, and the Midwest also. There's some predictions of some very severe early spring weather, so definitely be watching that. I wanted to talk about something that I get it from every once in a while from people that, is it too late to start preparing? I've had people for the last few years ask that, am I too late? And looking back over the last couple of years, there would be times that it might seem like it was just, you're too late to the game. Might as well not even start trying to play this game, folks. You're too late to it. And yet here we are, still in a place that you could continue to prepare. While it's certainly, the time is drawing near before things start to really spiral out of control. I mean, you could easily make an argument that it's already really spiraling out of control. I mean, that's not, I don't believe that's speaking too crazily, just for a few things as examples. Yesterday, if your focus maybe is precious metals, silver and gold, and how they're reacting and how people are reacting to them. Yesterday, over 1 million ounces was sold out of the COMEX of silver. 1 million ounces of silver in one day. There's a big indication that a lot of people realize that the financial markets and stuff are not doing really good because there's more and more transition into some solid assets like gold and silver. So that's a good indicator. It's a pretty good indicator. Bank of Japan, along with that, kind of said yesterday that CBDCs, digital currencies, are just necessary. We have to switch to those. We have to have those to ensure wealth and all that kind of stuff. I talked about that last night on Patreon and pulled out a quote from the general manager of the Bank of International Settlements, which is a big deal, and saying basically, roundabout speaking, that these CBDCs, that they're not going to be your private property. That's not your money. It's basically money on loan from the central banks. It's the central bank's assets. It's their money, and they're just letting you use it. And just more indication of where we are headed when it comes to all of the economic woes that this country and really the whole world is facing. So, is it too late to prepare? Are we seeing the end in sight? Or do you have a little bit more time to kind of get ready? Just the whole, the world is just kind of falling apart when it comes to violence. We've seen that this week with the school shooting in Nashville. And they're reporting that this past month, in the last 30 days or so, that there's been 38 mass shootings in the United States. And that's just the shootings. That's not all these random acts of violence that we're seeing happen on a very regular basis anymore. And much like I said yesterday in the live stream, if you missed it, you can go over to Rumble and you can watch the live stream replay there. But the trans community, is, at least parts of them, are calling for violence even after the shooting there in Nashville. They're still planning what's called a Vengeance Day there in Nashville here in the next couple of days. And they're not showing any signs of, well, I guess I shouldn't say no signs of remorse, but showing that they're going to continue pushing forward with this very violent agenda to have their way with their lifestyle. The world is falling apart when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to just how our world functions. Of course, we're all familiar with the train derailment up in Ohio several weeks back. Well, there's a barge, several barges on the Ohio River that they've lost control of, and one of them has 1,400 tons of methane gas. And this picture here, it's all flipped over and it's hung up under a bridge or something. These kind of things are happening on a very regular basis. Just more and more things destroying, burning, blowing up, falling apart. Is it just coincidental, or is there's possibly, someone out there, helping do these things? Not sure, but definitely indicates that things are getting worse. Food costs are most likely going to get worse. We've been talking about that one for weeks and weeks and weeks, of all the many different predictions and indicators showing that as high as food costs have been over the last year, that they're just going to get worse. And these rains and flooding rains that they've had in California, where it's been extremely dry for a very long time, and now they're pretty much underwater, it's just going to make things worse. That's what all the market gurus and everything is saying, that it's probably just going to make food costs even higher and food production worse. These things that I've just mentioned are really just a drop in the bucket. I mean, when you see all the stuff going on currently, you just kind of pick out a few random things to talk about, because there's a lot. I mean, most of you know I've just not even scratched the surface with these few things I've mentioned. But the point is that even with all this going on, is it too late to start getting prepared? Or, can you do anything about it? Can you, are you even capable of stocking up enough, of getting things ready enough to get in some level of preparedness before things just kind of go beyond no return? Yeah, I think there is. I think there's time. I think you can. It's not going to be easy. I think one of your biggest priorities should be figuring out where you're going to ride out the storm. And if you're living in a big city, or in a place that's just not great for security or not great for sustainability, then you probably should be looking at someplace else. It's not easy. It's certainly not cheap. Costs have gone up. Land and housing costs, it's more than they've been in a while, although there's indicators that they're going to start coming down a little bit. But finding a place to live, that's important, really important. The next things is to remember, and this is just a good way to kind of look at preparing altogether. The two biggest threats that you're probably going to face is starvation and just people doing bad things. And so the moving away from people, that's one of them. You want to get as far away from people as you can. And then the second one is the starvation. You want to stock up stuff. You want to have a decent supply of stuff. And then you want to be able to produce it, because supplies are only going to last for so long. And you can't depend just on your food preps. What if something happens and some of that food goes bad, or it gets, bugs or mice or something in it? And then what are you going to do? You're going to starve. So the food supply stock up is important, but it can't be the only thing that you're depending on. You have to be producing food. We have to go from being consumers to being producers once again. It's very vitally important. So stock up on as much food as you can. Costs have gone up, so it's definitely going to be harder to stock up on a lot of stuff, but still do it. And then also be working on a way to produce your own food, whether it's through gardens, a mixture of gardens and animals, a mixture of gardens and animals and foraging, depending on where you're at, hunting, fishing, all that kind of stuff, all mixed together. You've got to be producing your own food, and then you just need to be self-sufficient. You need to be as self-sufficient as you possibly can through your food preservation, through doing things on your own as much as possible. And then the things that you can't do on your own, that's where a community comes in, because that's kind of like that third little wheel there. You need to be working on community, building relationships with other people, building your own tribe, your own mutual assistance group, or being part of one, because this is very, very important to be doing. because it's difficult, not impossible, but very difficult to be, self-sustaining and really surviving all on your own. It's difficult to do, but with a group of people, it makes it a lot easier. And so I would strongly encourage you to be reaching out to people that you can find that are like-minded and that you can build trust and relationships with, because that's where it's going to be when it comes to long-term survival. And of course, there's all kinds of other things you need to be doing too. You want to make sure you got water taken care of, and how to clean it, and medical stuff, that's important. Skills is important. Tools to do these things. You got to have tools to do these things, and you have the ability and the knowledge to know how to use them. And then kind of above all that is just the mental fortitude to get through it. It's going to be tough. It is tough already. We've been conditioned. My wife and I were talking about this the other day in one of our videos that we did, of how it is really bad. It's only doesn't seem as bad is because we've kind of been conditioned. We've been conditioned over the last few years that this incrementally getting worse, and we get used to that new thing, and then the next new thing comes about, and then we get used to that one, and then in the end, 2 or 3 years later, we look back and we say, man, things have really changed. Things have gotten worse. I've just kind of gotten used to it, and that is going to happen. But we have to get mentally prepared for this. Because it's going to affect us. It is affecting us. And as things get worse, and as the system kind of falls out from underneath itself, and the currency loses value, and wars expand, and shortages get worse, we have to really mentally prepare. And then, of course, the most important thing that everyone should be doing is becoming spiritually ready, spiritually strong, because of what's going on. Build that relationship much stronger than you think you already have with the God the Father and His Son. Get out there and do the things that you need to do physically and mentally, but you really need to be doing the things you need to be doing spiritually to get ready for all this, because it is happening. I was watching a video just in the last few days, had a moment of free time, which hasn't been a lot lately. But I was watching a video from a couple of years ago from Joe Fox, Pastor Joe Fox over on Viking Preparedness. It's one of his couple of years ago. And he was talking about, how bad things are and how it's going to get worse. And, a lot of the things that he was saying, food's going to start going up, guys. And guess what? It has. Things as he was talking about, violence and all this other stuff, it's going to get worse. And thinking back over the last 2 years, he's exactly right. It has gotten worse. And that's the thing. We don't want, I don't want people to get so conditioned by all the worsening of things that we end up not getting ourselves ready. I think that's what the people in charge want you to do. They want you to just get so conditioned that you don't notice things really changing when they're happening. But the fact is that they are, and they are getting worse. You can sit there and write out a little timeline over the last 2 or 3 years, and you can easily see things are getting worse. And it's the intensity and the speed at which things are getting worse is heating up. So, over the next months and few years, it's gonna worsen even more. So continue getting ready, folks. Doing all these things and more that I mention pretty much every day, and several others on YouTube. It's very important to be doing that, because the world is in a downward spiral. There's just no other way to look at it. We're watching Rome slowly burn. And you definitely want to be getting your life and your home prepared, getting your houses in order, preparing mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Folks, we are living in uncertain times where chaos seems to be around every corner. With wars and rumors of wars, economic collapse, pandemics, and more, we should strive daily to become more prepared mentally, physically, and of course spiritually. Please check out My Patriot Supply for all your preparedness needs. My Patriot Supply offers Ready Hour food, Alexa Pure water filters, and many other emergency and survival products. My Patriot Supply is an American-owned company, run by Americans producing American-made food. Emergency food from My Patriot Supply has a 25-plus year shelf life. It's simple to fix and delicious to eat. With My Patriot Supply, you can sleep at ease at night knowing that you and your family have the emergency food to last through the coming times. To find out more, click on the link in the description below or go to preparewithtravis.com.